Thanks. I know it's time and we're all about to conclude, so my report will be a very short report. On reflection, it seems that what we have been through in these 2 days is in effect a contribution, a real contribution to a common foreign and security policy in the making. It is these types of exchanges, I think, that President Massimo D'Alema and Dan Stetter and the whole team have managed to organize so well over here, that are delineating the numbers of the elements of the mosaics that are going to form this CFSP when, if it ever comes through and is sustained. In effect, the very format we had of a call to Europe was illustrated in this last session here, where we had 4 calls from outside Europe, which I think is very illustrative. Starting with the grand one from India, under which we would have a Eurasian essence, and that takes us quite a long way along the way of a new CFSP. I wonder if we had to send that to Catherine Ashton, whether it would help her weekend to be more serene or not. Then moving, of course, to Chile, where President Lagos gave us a very mature set of reflections, but essentially, again, making the call to Europe. So we are seeing a demand-driven call to Europe forming and contributing towards the CFSP in the making. From Mauritius, already we had yesterday an excellent presidential contribution, again showing what Africa is demanding, with its high growth rate against the low or nil growth rate here. So there is even economic backing here in contrast to the present economic condition here. And no, I did not skip my old colleague Amr Moussa, with whom I am at one, obviously, to see that on the Mediterranean question, I would be happy as an international secretary of the Labour Party to invite a panel which Ernst and Massimo can put together to discuss the Mediterranean relance, because now the Union for the Mediterranean on this flank is frozen. Now, on the other hand, we not only had a demand-driven set of outsiders calling to Europe with their demands, which I really think ought to be put into a good report and sent to Catherine Ashton, but we also had internal reflections from Laszlo, with a projection of a linear flow, and that, in a way, is the easy way. One could give an essay question to students and ask them, how would you devise a timeline to have a CFSP in place by 2030? And they would set the milestones, although obviously the devil would be in the detail of trying to get consensus on each and every of those milestones. Hubert Védrine was more pragmatic in saying, look, the situation is, as we have seen over and over again, of a number of differences. Since the Malvinas, when France was supplying Exocet missiles to Argentina against fellow member UK, I remember I was here in Brussels at Mr. Tindemann's office, and Lord Carrington was phoning to say, listen, that mad woman is going to war over there. May I speak to Alex, because I know him from Malta, and let's try and do something. We couldn't do anything. She just roller coasted all over the place. But I think the pragmatic dimension of Hubert Védrine is the essence of the problem of not having had a CFSP already. Had it been much easier, it would have been done. But the demand is not yet that strong internally. And so the many differences and the many types of differences are what we want to be able to reflect upon in this demand-driven now force from the inside over here. Is there really an internal demand in Europe for a CFSP? It doesn't seem to be so. It's only an intellectual exercise, but not a pragmatic need. There is much more, as what came out, what surfaced through this discussion, much more of a stronger demand from outside Europe, especially amongst the progressives outside Europe, to see us raising the flag again as we have seen with President Hollande being elected. But now let's see what values he's going to attach to this flag, if they can resuscitate, resurrect, as Afif mentioned earlier, the old values we stood for, which are still apparently recognized and respected outside Europe more than inside Europe, where neoliberalism has its roots much stronger. These roots haven't taken place outside. As President Lagos mentioned, the consumer is not given that much respect as much as the one man, one vote, one person, one vote. So having gone through all this area, I think that the next step is to have more of these informal networks discussing the call to Europe from outside, examining that, assessing that, and checking the demand driven from inside, assessing that, evaluating that, reporting on it to the EEAS, and probably also having exchanges with the EEAS chief, her officials, and of course we can't forget Mr. Van Rompuy. Thank you very much.